I used to make my husband write it down, but like, it's like, oh, can you
Yeah,
write
it's a
it down?
sound. It's a sound. It was a sound that he was saying.
I had that. Ian, have you been to the St. Luke's in Burlington where Joseph Brant was originally buried before they moved him over to? There's a little
No.
church in Burlington called St. Luke's, and I was there on a tour with a friend. Actually, it was Michelle DeRoche at the time when we were doing a tour, and my youngest son was with me, and my kids are all perceptive too, but he was with us at the time. I think he might have been about 11 or 12. And he and I were laughing the whole time because we were being followed constantly. But then we walked around the building and then we got up to the front entrance and I got more words again. And I'm like, I don't know what's being said. So when we wrote all this, he wrote it down, at least phonetically. We were out at Six Nations at the Earcrafts one day, and our friend there whose family owns it, and I said to her, I go, this is going to sound like a crazy question, but can I ask this?
Yeah.
So we got it out and we repeated it, and she's like, yeah, I don't know. Wait, let me go ask my mom. So she goes in the back and she comes back. She goes, it's skunks and bunnies. And I'm like,
skunks and bunnies.
Okay. It sounds funny, right? But when we were walking around, Michelle was telling a story about ghost rabbits. And it's not that they're actually ghosts. It's just that in the cemetery there's so many rabbits and they come out at night and then their eyes glow at night. But also there was a skunk living underneath the front porch.
Oh, wild.
And I guess that the spirit that was present was trying to tell us about the skunk and try to tell me about the rabbits, right? That there was lots of rabbits and there was this skunk living underneath the porch. It was really funny when we found out after the fact that it had actually coincided with the stuff that was going on.
It's really wild how it all ties together, and it does.
Oranges was really awesome too, because what had apparently happened is the minister at the time, back in the 1800s, like way back, he had passed away in the I guess at a time where it might have been late fall or something, and so in order to help preserve, no, it was actually in the summer, that's what it was. In order to stop the smell from the body, they used to throw orange peels and citrus peels into the grave.
Oh, whoa.
So I was like, but that's what my son and I were both smelling. We were both vividly smelling. And it was funny because one other person in the group said it too. They're like, do you smell oranges? So somebody else was picking
How creepy is that?
But yeah, I mean, there's some interesting. So that might be a spot, Ian, that we could go because we're close enough. We could just meet you there and do a little wander through in the day.
It'd be a place to check out.
It's a beautiful cemetery, and it's a pretty little chapel there and everything too, right? The other one too is the one on Six Nations, is the Mohawk Chapel there. I've been to that one, but there's a lot of different sites. But yeah, I mean, maybe Rachel, by July or August, we can.
That would be great. I hope so. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll stay at my brother's because he's in Charlotte Lake, which is about an hour from Kingston, so we can just cross over, right, and come out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Figure it out.
I'd like to come to you at some point too.
We are all done for today, and I know we talked a little longer, but we started a bit later today, so
I have a request for the next show.
Okay.
So this is I want to do something a little out of the ordinary. I don't want to do a location. I was hoping that you guys would be up for simply talking. So just talk about our paranormal experiences and sort of go down that rabbit hole, like not necessarily talk about a historical location, but if you've got historical locations that you've been to, that by all means bring it up. But I just saw us having this sort of great casual
I've investigated has been a historical location.
Yeah. No, you can bring it up
one way or another.
Yeah. Okay. No, that sounds like that would be fun. So we could do that next week. We can just talk about some of our own experiences. I've got a couple of really good ones to chat about locally.
Yeah. I'd love for the listeners to learn more about us and what we do and some of the things we've done in the past. That would be great.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, that's not my regular historical television program shows that
Sorry.
because those ones I'm always talking about
Yes.
something quite specific, right?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and yeah, I just filmed one. The last one I filmed, actually, oddly enough, has nothing to do really with historical locations, but actually to do with death and burial culture. I spoke on Celts and Vikings and Mayans, and
Oh,
and what was the other one? Oh my goodness! Oh, and the Mustang Caves in Nepal. So I talked about some of those things, but yeah, I mean, I would love to do that. And the other interesting thing, I don't know if you guys saw my Facebook thing, but I was doing a little bit of research on the Scottish witch trials because people always talk about the witches and around the world, Spain, wherever, Spanish Inquisition, all of those things. Scotland actually put to death more witches than anybody else.
oh, wow.
Wow.
And what I discovered,
Gosh, that's crazy.
a long line of so-called dangerous witches in my family from the time they started to do witch trials in the late 1500s to the 1700s. 37 of my family members
Oh my goodness.
are
That's
late
a lot.
witches, and some of them were women. Majority of them. There were some men in there as well. Some were released for lack of evidence. Some were charged with things like collusion and other things.
So we should do a show on that as well then.
One of them was said to have procured poison from the Egyptians. Now, when you say that, that means from the gypsies, who are also part of my family. So that's how they got the name, right? So they said that was in the late 1500s. And I had a couple that were actually burned as well for being witches. So yay, my family. 37. I mean, you might be lucky if you get one in your family. Apparently, my family on my grandfather's side, both his father's side and his mother's side, were prolific. And the interesting thing that I found was the Stuart side of the family had 27 accused witches. Now, I'm not surprised by that because, as we know, Mary was beheaded by her cousin Elizabeth, and the Stuarts went on for many years to try to regain the throne. So I think a lot of it was political aggrandizing to get rid of some of the people that were involved in trying to reinstate the Stuarts. So, it seems uncanny that 27 of the Stuart members of my family had in some way, shape, or form been accused of witchcraft. And then the other half the other 10 are on the Ross side. So it's like, I was astounded to find 37 people in my family. And, I can't say whether maybe some were like myself. Maybe some of them were just people who had, opened up their other senses and were able to use them. But a lot of it seems like it was just either women who were doing herbal work, were healers, midwifery. Again, some of it seems political, but yeah, that would be an interesting show, right? I could just roll out the
We have to do that one, yeah. That could be the show after our little talk.
That's when we should roll out near Halloween, right? Just,
yes.
And apparently Scotland says they're going to apologize for all of that.
Oh.
So we'll see what happens. Hey.
Gosh.
They're going to
watch this space.
But anyway, guys, it was a great show and really interesting. Spike Island is one of those, let's get there one day destinations. And when we all win lotteries or somehow become independently wealthy.
That would be nice.
In the perfect world, we'd be able to tour around every week to a new location and do paranormal shows live from some
live on
I'm up
location.
for it. Let's do it. Yeah. What do you think, Ian? Are you up for that?
Oh yeah, sure.
We need somebody to bankroll us. All right. But anyway, all right, guys, good to talk to you. Next week, we will talk about our own experiences and what we do,
it can be anything. It can go anywhere. I'm just up for just having conversations.
our conversation, but let's pick the wackiest, craziest thing that's happened to us during a paranormal investigation.
Oh boy.
I've got one too.
I can think of a few.
All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us here on Down the Rabbit Hole. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week. And you can always catch our shows as well on we're up on Spotify and all kinds of different platforms for podcasts. That's what I'm trying to say.